Welcome back to the channel, guys. This is VIN 1217, and it is for sale on Facebook Marketplace and in some of the F-Car owners groups, things like that. It is a 2016 1J7, which is atomic silver with LA30 interior, red interior, and it has about 55,000 miles. It was originally listed for something like $75,000, then it was $65,000, and then as of today, it looks like it's either sold or they removed the listing. The owner of this car said it has no accidents, it has new brakes, it comes with all the stock parts, so it's obviously modified, as you can see in the photos. It has bronze TE37s, it has a full Tom carbon fiber aero kit, has some interesting choice of seat covers, it's got some other modifications, like aftermarket exhaust, etc. So there's a lot there, but to me, the mods don't really add a lot of value. And some people say you get 50% back of whatever you put in. So let's say if you put in $10,000, it's worth $5,000 more to some people. To me, it's worth what it is as if it were stock, unless it's something extremely, high priced. An example would be like carbon fiber, the carbon ceramic brakes like I have on this, or if you have a full exhaust system or a supercharger, some of the big dollar modifications for these cars. But so this car at $75,000 or even $65,000, extremely high priced, and we'll dive into that here in a little bit. But the seller, he said no test drives, and I inquired about the VIN and he would not give it to me. And that's kind of red flag number one, like what's he hiding? Well, fortunately for me, I own the GSF spreadsheet, so I know where you're at, what color, I know what color combination, I know what color your calipers are, so I can figure out pretty quick what VIN this is, and that's how I figured out it's 1217, based on the mileage, everything else. So this is VIN 1217, and I messaged the guy and I said, hey, is this, and I've got a copy of the conversation here, is this VIN 1217? And he said yes. And so I wanted to run a Carfax. Well, I have a Carfax on every single GSF that I've already run, but I checked it and my suspicions were confirmed. This car has 2 accidents or previous damage reported, and it is an accident. And he actually said, he explained what it is right here. He said that the previous owner ran into a fence or something with it and it replaced the bumper. Well, that's an accident. It may have not been involving another, a police report or another vehicle, but it's still an accident. And so this car has 2 of them on it, and I'll get to that in a minute. But that enough, the way the seller was acting when selling this car, that combined with the extremely high price is enough for me to just walk away. It is an extremely clean example with, tasteful mods. They're not inexpensive mods, but just the way the seller has been acting around the sale of this car is enough for me to turn off. Like, what else is he hiding, kind of thing. And so, we'll dive into it and see what we find, but, just it was kind of off-putting just from the beginning, in my opinion. So first and foremost, production statistics. There are 328 cars out of the 2,348 that are 1J7 atomic silver. 167 of those had LA30 red interior. So out of all of the GSFs for the US 49 everywhere except Hawaii, 167 exist in this combo. So definitely on the more common side. Specific for 2016 though, 199 out of the 1,418 cars were atomic silver, and 100 exactly, 100 even, had LA30 interior. So this car is one of 100 at its rarest, definitely on the more common side of combinations. The rarer ones, I would say less than 20, something like that. There's several 1 of 1s, 1 of 8, 1 of 4, things like that. So this is 1 of 100. There's definitely a lot of atomic silvers with red interior. Carfax, Epic VIN, and AutoCheck. So Carfax shows this as a 2-owner, 2 accident and or damage reported incidents, first in June of 2018 to the front and October of 2019 also to the front. Epic VIN shows this as a 2-owner, 1 accident car, October of 19, and it's not specified. AutoCheck shows this as a 2-owner, 1 accident or damage reported, again in October of 19. It says minor damage to the right side and the bumper. Doesn't go into detail other than that. So I think it's safe to say this car is a 2-owner, but 2 incident car, if you want to call it that, but I would call it an accident. So at least 1 accident and 1 incident, but it's not what the seller is representing. He's saying it is a no accident car. I respectfully disagree. Previous sales. So this car was first listed for sale in March of 2016, $88,000 in Texas. December of 2019 for $50,000 with 28,000 miles in Texas. And it was still for sale. It looks like at the end of January, $50,000, 28,000 miles. And so that's probably where this seller bought it. And so he's owned it for about 5 years or so, 4.5, 5 years. And then now September 2025 with the mods, it didn't have the mods up until when he bought it. $75,000 dropped to $65,000 with all the mods on it and about 55,000 miles. So now looking at the pictures. So definitely high quality mods, the bronze TE37s, the Tom's Aero kit, carbon fiber, the little carbon fiber bits on the interior, things like that. I don't see any carbon fiber delamination. There's a lot that you can really look at, and they're pretty high quality photos as well. Not a ton of photos. I don't know what's under the hood because there's no under hood shots, there's no underneath shots. I don't know if it has headers. He doesn't say it does, but he has all the factory parts as well. So there is some value to be added there, because factory wheels, we know what factory wheels are. You can sell those for $4,000 or something, or put them back on the car and sell the TE37s for probably about the same price. The seller does say it has new brakes. And it looks like on the photos, it looks like the tires are 2020 date code. So the tires are about 5 years old, getting up towards the end of their life, age-wise, maybe have a couple more years left. 7 years is kind of the max you want to go on that. But you're rolling around 5, 6 year old tires that, I would definitely look at the tread life too. But if this car hasn't been driven a lot, it depends on when he actually put those wheels on. This car has some interesting seat covers. They're red too, but it's not everybody's choice there, but it does have some seat covers. So maybe underneath it should be pretty decent. So we'll jump to the service history in a minute, but this car is coming up on the 60,000 mile service pretty soon. So that's going to be some money you need to either set aside to do yourself for $500 or $600, or at the dealer $2,000 plus. And that's transmission service, that's the differential service, the TVD, that is belts, spark plugs. There's a lot that's involved in that 60,000 mile service, and it can get expensive. So speaking of service history, this car, it hasn't been Lexus serviced in the last 3+ years and 15,000 miles. So the last service at the Lexus dealer is May of 2022 at 41,000 miles. So this car, I would call it okay dealer serviced up until that point. First entry of note in April of 2017, there was a humming noise from the rear. They couldn't replicate it. And I'm just guessing that's probably the low pressure fuel pump that needs to be reprogrammed. But this being early in 2017, there was probably not a fix yet. This is when a lot of them were having that issue, and then they figured it out. Well, 2 months later, in June of 2017, the low pressure fuel pump was reprogrammed and it resolved that. So out of the big 5 customer service program issues, that one's checked off, that one's done. June of 18, the JLB recall, that's the high pressure fuel pump, that's done. So high pressure fuel pumps are done on this car. May of 2019, a noise, and the tech confirmed it, in the passenger front, but they don't say what's done. It sounded like it's behind the glove box or something like that, but just something of note. November of 2019, so remember the accident was in October of 2019, according to the Carfax. It states, work done at a body shop. So there was some kind of work probably done through Lexus. So that's good if Lexus is doing it and maintaining the warranty, whatever. But just something of note. There's noted that the car has been to a body shop. Also in November of 2019, the KLG customer service campaign was done. KLG is the GPS update. So basically, if you're driving on a highway, it shows you off to the side road or something like that. That's been done. So that's number 2 of the common issues checked off and already done. June of 2021, one wheel repaired, the passenger front. February of 2022, AC servo sweep. So there's number 3 common issue, done and done. 20 LE01 done, and they said they also had a complaint about the seat cooling and warming not working well, and they noted that they had a seat cover on it. You have a seat cover on it, you're not going to have great effect of cooling or heating. The heated and cooled seats on these cars suck anyway, but that makes it even worse. Things that I haven't seen done on the service history: valley plate needs to be inspected, make sure it's not leaking. Front lower control arms, as always, make sure you don't have worn out inside of your front tires. Looks like since this car has older tires, that should be easy to determine. Look at the car, turn the wheels all the way to the left and right, look at the inside of the front tires. If there's wear on them, you need lower control arm bushings, you need tires, and you need an alignment. So that can get expensive very quickly. I don't see anything about any of the carbon fiber on the interior, the carbon fiber trim being replaced. So as far as we know, all of it is original. So if you take this car to a colder climate, you're definitely going to be subject to issues there. But it looks like the common issues for the service campaigns, the KLG, the HVAC servo sweep, the low pressure fuel pump reprogramming, that's all done. So this car is pretty well sorted in that regard. The only other question I would have is this car hasn't been serviced in 3 years. Unless it's been done DIY or it's been done at a third-party mechanic where the seller should be able to prove that to you, it's probably behind on some of the services. But you have the 60,000 mile service coming up, so that would definitely catch it all up. Highly recommend getting a mechanical inspection, pre-purchase inspection done at your favorite independent mechanic or Lexus dealer, specific to the Valley plate, anything else. Plug the scanner in, make sure there's no stored codes anywhere. But it looks like a very clean car, but the seller is definitely a very difficult seller to deal with. He's not very forthcoming, and I don't like how it started where he's saying no accidents when it clearly has had paintwork and other issues, which I would call at least one of those an accident. So may not involve another vehicle, and I would assume it was turned in under insurance. That's why it shows up on Carfax, AutoCheck, and EpicVin. So all three of them show at least one of those accidents or incidents. So finally, would I buy this car? I think if it could be had cheaper, like in the mid to low 50s range. You know, the mileage is pretty average for what you see a lot of 2016s pop up for with right now. You know, 50, 60, 70,000 miles. That's pretty typical of what you see. High quality mods, but I don't like that the car has been misrepresented in the way it's being sold. So this car does have previous damage. Call it an accident, call it previous damage, whatever you want to call it, but it's not being disclosed by the original seller. So I don't like that. That enough for me would turn me off from this car. But if you're insistent on pursuing this car, if you could get it for 52 to 55,000 or less, that's probably where this car needs to be. Add the value of what you want for the mods, but I think at the current price of $65,000, it's way too high. And as much as I would love to see that, you know, it'd be great if my cars were 65,000, but I think at 65,000, it's just way overpriced, even with the quality mods that are on it. But the seller being difficult, misrepresenting the car, you know, that's enough for me to turn me away, to walk away. But if you're insistent on it, go check it out. But make sure you do a pre-purchase inspection, mechanical inspection with it. Highly recommend doing that to any of these cars, but definitely on this one. So VIN 1217, that's what I got for you guys. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you soon.